and protection of Seattle Salazar, hereby called a proposed patient. Is the state of Texas present and ready?
Marley Spoils on behalf of the District Attorney's Office. The state is present and ready, and we will waive opening statement.
Is the proposed patient ready? Does the proposed patient have an opening statement?
Philip Hayes, attorney ad litem for Seattle Salazar. I am present and ready. I made him aware today that he could participate if he chose to, and it appears he's not online. I am ready, and I will waive opening statement.
Thank you. All right, state, you may proceed.
Your Honor, the state would ask that the court take judicial notice of the contents in the court's file in this case, including the physician's certificate of medical examination for mental illness.
Mr. Hayes, do you have any objections?
No objection, Judge.
All right, so noted. Thank you.
Your Honor, the state would argue that the proposed patient is mentally ill with a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Additionally, the proposed patient was taken to the hospital on a magistrate's warrant in which it was stated that the proposed patient had, I'm sorry, let me get to that, Judge. He had set fire to his recliner in his apartment and was stepping in front of, striking and chasing vehicles, and recently assaulted his caseworker. He has also been punching holes, breaking furniture, and letting trash pile up in his apartment, as well as been talking to himself, skipping meals, and failing to bathe and groom himself. Based on the aforementioned, the state would recommend that the proposed patient be held until pending final hearing on a civil commitment.
Mr. Hayes.
Your Honor, the incident involving the recliner, setting fire to the recliner, was, I believe, about 3 months ago. I'm pulling up his file now to confirm that. I do know that that I have represented him in October, or I'm sorry, in September. And at that time, the same allegation was there about the chair.
According to the, Mr. Hayes, I'm sorry. According to the CME, that the recliner incident was on 9/16,
right,
2020.
Right.
Is that about correct?
That's correct. And at the time I was representing him, I believe he was at Sunrise Canyon, if my memory serves me correctly. I think he has had some regression in his condition in the last month and a half, 2 months now, since I met with him the first time. But shortly after he was at Sunrise Canyon, he did get on his medications, and I believe he was released without having a secondary hearing. That all said, I think the secondary hearing in this case is set for Thursday of this week. I think the 19th is the day I recall. And I'm not sure that he's going to be much improved between now and Thursday. So we may be looking at another hearing on Thursday.
Okay. Ms. Boyles, anything further?
Nothing further, Judge. I would just reiterate what it states in the certificate of medical examination on this case. As far as the commitment hearing on Thursday, I do feel that if we should have the hearing on Thursday in the court, sorry, let me backtrack on that. I think we need to see what happens with the proposed patient. Should we need a hearing on Thursday, and then we can reassess the situation on Thursday, should that require so.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bustos why he's on the hearing, number one, and number two, if he has any input for the court at this time.
Mr. Bustos, I think what Mr. Hayes is asking is that, and this is a fairly informal hearing at this juncture. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Bustos, if you have anything you want to add to this hearing, as far as, I think Mr. Hayes, his question was, why are you on the hearing, and do you have anything to add?
I'm just here to advocate for Seattle in the best way that I can. and just kind of see where we have to take them through case management.
Okay, may I ask you questions, Judge?
Sure.
All right. Mr. Bustos, have you had a chance to talk with Seattle in the last 3 or 4 days?
Not in the last 3 or 4 days. I believe he's been at the plaza in the last 3 or 4 days. So
Okay. And were you his case manager when he was at Sunrise Canyon back in September?
yes, sir.
Okay. And do you know what his treatment was there at that time?
I have to get my file. I can pull it out and get you the exact wording on it, but because I don't want to chop anything up.
Well, you can, yeah, y'all can do that later.
That's okay. But when he was released from Sunrise, were you his caseworker at that time?
Yes, sir.
And did he seem to be reacting to his medications and things like that at that point?
The day he was released, he seemed like he came back down to his baseline, but that was due to all the medications that he took while he was in there. But he denied medications upon release, and it was just not even a day or two after his release where I had seen a drastic decline.
Okay. And does he have a place to go if he was released by the court today or even on Thursday?
He currently has a home. Yes.
Does he live alone?
Yes, sir.
Does he have any support group that could encourage him to take his medication?
That would be us. However, he has done better in the past when he's on biweekly injections rather than having to take an oral injection each and every day.
Thank you for being.
I mean, not an oral injection, but I'm sorry, an oral medication every day.
Yeah, Mr. Hayes, I appreciate this line of questioning. I think it's probably more appropriate for the temporary hearing coming up. Should there be one? Should it be necessary? Chad, is there anything you want to add about this? I know
Sure.
there was an emergency detention order that didn't, or the application that didn't get to my office. But
Yes,
is there anything you want to add?
I'll just echo what Rudy said, and that is that, we're here to advocate for the best interest of Mr. Salazar. This is the first time we've ever, been involved in this capacity or trying to be. So I'm the CEO at Open Door. Rudy's one of our case managers in our housing program. And Seattle is a participant in our permanent supportive housing program, which means we provide him, help assist him with housing and case management. And he's currently facing possible eviction from the unit that he's living in right now. He has been evicted from multiple apartments this year, and for the same kind of thing, destroying his property and things like that. And so we feel like we're in a pretty desperate situation because this is, one of the most intensive supportive environments available to him. Short of, if he's not with us, then he's probably going to be back on the streets, which is where he was for many years before he moved into our housing program. So we're just here to try to advocate for his best interest. I know when he was compliant with medication with Sunrise and Star Care, he was doing much, much better. And since he's been non-compliant, it's just been going downhill pretty fast. So yeah,
I'm sure Mr. Hayes is going to want to speak to you probably further.
Yeah.
It should this come to the final hearing, we'll let him know about that. We'll certainly let you know about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, this hearing, the purpose of this hearing, it's called a probable cause hearing, is just to see if there's enough evidence, as it were, to hold him where he's at until such time as we can come together for a longer term solution for Mr. Salazar. So this is, like I said, it's a very informal hearing, but it's just to determine whether or not we need to kind of hold him for a little while longer. Now, as always, so I want to explain to both you, Rudy, and Chad, that really the driver's seat is his doctor's at this place at the plaza. They could determine this afternoon that he's stable, everything's fine. They have the authority to release him. The only thing we're doing here is that should they decide that they need to hold him, we're going to give them a little judicial help so that they can hold him until we can come together at a later time for a more formal hearing. That's all. That's really the only purpose that we have here today. Okay.
Okay.
That being said, I have examined the certificate of medical examination for mental illness along with the affidavit of Stacy Franklin. And based on this evidence, I find there is probable cause to believe that the proposed patient presents a substantial risk of serious harm to themselves and to others in such a way that the proposed patient cannot be at liberty at this time pending a final hearing because he is suffering severe mental, emotional, and physical distress. All right. That'll hold him there at the plaza for the next few days, unless, of course, the plaza decides he's stable enough to be released. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
All
Chad,
right.
would you mind giving me your phone number?
And then
Yes, it
Judge,
is.
Yes, Ms. Boyles.
could I just talk to you and Kristen after this hearing
Yeah,
is over?
absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Thank you.
Um,
Chad, I think